Now, when you took over the FBI, did you find instances of where under the Biden administration the FBI had weaponized the agency?
That right there, folks. That's the moment America has been waiting years to hear. A sitting FBI director under oath in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, finally telling the truth about what's in the Epstein files and what went wrong at the FBI under the last administration.
Mr. Director, you and the FBI, working with state and local law enforcement officials in Utah, have caught the assassin of Mr. Charlie Kirk. Is that right?
We have a suspect, yes, sir.
And you did that within 48 hours, did you not?
33 hours.
33 hours. Congratulations. We've had other political assassinations. Back in June, an assassinated Representative Melissa Hoffman, Mr. Hoffman, Senator John Hoffman, and Mrs. Hoffman in Minnesota. You and the FBI and Minnesota state and local law enforcement officials caught the assassin within 48 hours, did you not?
I believe that timeline's correct, Senator.
Congratulations. Sometimes we miss the forest for the trees. Good work. Did Mr. Kirk's assassin act alone?
As I've said since the beginning, Senator, it is very much an ongoing investigation, and I can't speak to the state charges. That's for the state to address on their own, but we are providing them with the same investigatory findings we're parting the department. And as I noted to Senator, I believe it was Cornyn or Hawley, that there are a number of individuals that are currently being investigated and interrogated, and a number yet to be investigated and interrogated specific to that chat room. So we are very much in our ongoing posture of investigation.
So others could have been involved?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I asked you this last time you were here. Kash, you remember Mr. Peter Strzok and Ms. Lisa Page?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Strzok was an FBI agent. Ms. Page was an FBI lawyer. They were both very aggressive anti-Trump political activists who allowed their political opinions to affect their work at the FBI. Is that a fair statement?
I believe their text messages and their testimony that was secured by the OIG and DOJ speak for themselves.
In fact, Mr. Strzok and Ms. Page were having an extramarital affair, and at one point, Ms. Page texted Mr. Strzok, quote, "Trump's not ever going to be president, right? Right?" And Mr. Strzok replied, "No, he won't. We will stop it," end quote. Ms. Page resigned from the FBI. Mr. Strzok was fired. They promptly sued the federal government and the FBI and Justice Department for releasing their emails, which revealed all of this. The FBI settled that lawsuit for $1.2 million, gave Mr. Strzok $1.2 million cash, gave Ms. Page, who resigned. She wasn't fired, she resigned, she quit. Gave her $800,000. Who, if the FBI made that decision to give them money?
That settlement was reached in the Biden administration when my predecessor was the director.
Who? Are you saying that Chris Wray did?
The only people that can decide that settlement are the Attorney General in conjunction with the director and the administration.
Okay, so you're telling me that Attorney General Garland and Director Wray decided to give them the money? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you When you took over the FBI, did you find instances of where, under the Biden administration, the FBI had weaponized the agency to push the political beliefs of President Biden?
Sorry, the last part.
When you took over the FBI, did you find instances of where the Biden administration had politicized the FBI to prosecute its political agenda?
Well, I won't speak for other people. Haven't been a target of that weaponization, haven't been a staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, having had the Justice Department weaponized against me for making the findings and leading the investigation of Russiagate. I know what that feels like. And that's why, as the FBI director, I'm committing to not ever have that ever happen again. But I'm also committed to fully investigating what was done. And that matter is still ongoing.
So I assume, I take it your answer is yes.
Yes, sir.
And you're firing those people, is that right?
Anyone that politicizes their job at the FBI will not work at the FBI.
Okay. You've heard some of my colleagues either implicitly or otherwise suggest that you have politicized the FBI to prosecute the political beliefs of President Trump. Is that true?
I don't know how that can be true when the stats that I cited, to include the 23,000 arrests, 6,000 weapons seized, 1,600 gang and criminal enterprise organizations, 4,700 children found and rescued, more enough fentanyl seized to kill a third of America. The men and women of the FBI are now on an apolitical mission, and this is why the numbers are historic in 7
Have you
months.
fired people because they voted for Vice President Harris?
I don't ask people who they vote for, and neither does the FBI.
Okay. But you've given people polygraphs, have you not?
Many people in the FBI take polys.
The FBI does that all the time.
Yes, sir.
Does it not?
Yes,
For a
sir.
long time, is that correct?
Decades.
All right. I want to ask you about the Epstein files. Have you seen the Epstein files?
I have not reviewed the entirety of it myself, but a good amount.
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Epstein trafficked young women, including, in some instances, minors, for sex to himself?
That was specifically the allegations in the 2018 indictment in the Southern District of New York.
Okay. Who else did he traffic these young women to?
In terms of what the investigation, again, going back to 2008, Mr. Acosta, who limited the investigation and limited the search warrants and limited the parameters of the investigation, the only thing we are able to speak to publicly, because he was given a non-prosecution agreement by Mr. Acosta, is that first time period from, I believe, don't quote me on this, 97 to 2001-ish. And then when the Trump administration courageously reopened it.
Excuse me for interrupting, but I'm going to run out of time. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one
For the information that we have
in the files.
in the case file.
Okay. Now, President Trump has deferred to the FBI and the Department of Justice with respect to the Epstein records. He says it is your call about releasing them. And I understand that the department and the agency have decided to release them in cooperation with the House committee. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're releasing them a little bit at a time. Is that correct?
We're releasing as much as we can, but we are limited by 3 different court orders, and the department went back to each of those judges to waive those court orders or have them lifted, and each of those judges declined.
Will you release all of them, or at least as many as you can?
We will release everything we are legally permitted to do so. We are continuing to work with the House on the subpoena request. We have substantially complied with it, but we will continue to release whatever we are legally permitted to do so.
Okay. I strongly encourage you to do that. Kash. This issue's not going to go away. And I think the essential question for the American people is this. They know that Epstein trafficked young women for sex to himself. They want to know who, if anyone else, he trafficked these young women to. And that's a very fair question. I want to know that answer. And I think you're going to have to do more to satisfy the American people's understandable curiosity in that regard.
Mr. Chairman, may I just respond to that? I agree, Senator. And what we have done, and just to remind folks, the Epstein case files existed in the two prior administrations, in the Obama administration and the Biden administration, and they didn't release anything. And there was President Trump in the first administration that renewed charges against Mr. Epstein. And I know it's a little complicated to understand, but what exists in the Epstein case files was a direct result of the limited search warrants from 2006 and 7, which hamstrung future investigations because of the non-prosecution agreement. And multiple administrations had the opportunity to look at the entirety of that case file and recommend prosecutions against anyone that was trafficked under Mr. Epstein and anyone that participated in that trafficking. And the only person to bring charges was the prior administration against Mr. Epstein. Now, I am not saying that others were not trafficked and others were not involved. What I am telling you is that based on the information we have, and we have continuously and publicly asked for the public to come forward with more information. If there is, we'll look at it. But based on credible information, we have released all credible information, and the information that the Department of Justice and the FBI never releases is information on investigations that are not credible. And we don't release the names of victims who weren't credible, but in the same time, we don't release the names of victims who were credible. And so that's by law. And so the information we are releasing now is historic, and it is also to the maximum capacity that the law allows. And I know that's not going to satisfy many, many, many people. But if they wanted it done right, then the investigation from its origination should have been done right, and he should not have been given a get-out-of-jail-free card to do jail on the weekends for 12 hours a day, and he should have been investigated fully for the entirety of his crime and criminal enterprise, not just from 1997 to 2001.
All right, folks, let's slow down and actually break down what you just watched, because this wasn't just another Senate hearing, this wasn't posturing, this wasn't political theater. This was a sitting United States Senator and the director of the FBI having the kind of honest, plain-spoken conversation that the American people have been begging to hear for years. And if you blinked, you missed just how significant this moment really was. Senator Kennedy opened with something I want you to pay close attention to. He didn't start with an attack. He started with a congratulation. 33 hours to catch the assassin who murdered Charlie Kirk. 48 hours to catch the man who killed Representative Melissa Hoffman and Senator John Hoffman and his wife in Minnesota. Kennedy said something most politicians on both sides of the aisle refuse to say. Good work. Sometimes we miss the forest for the trees. That's the kind of grown-up leadership this country is starving for. Credit where credit is due. And the men and women of the FBI earn that credit. But here's where the hearing takes a turn. Kennedy asks the question everyone in that room wanted to know. Did Charlie Kirk's assassin act alone? And Director Patel doesn't dodge. He doesn't spin. He says directly, there are a number of individuals currently being investigated and interrogated, and a number yet to be investigated, specifically tied to that chat room. Folks, that's a massive statement. That tells you this wasn't a lone wolf. There are other people connected to the murder of Charlie Kirk, and the FBI is actively pursuing them. That's the kind of information the mainstream media should be plastering on every front page, but they're not, which is exactly why channels like this one exist. Then Kennedy pivots, and this is the part I want every single American over 45 to listen to very carefully. He asked Patel about Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. If those names don't ring a bell, let me remind you. Strzok was the FBI agent. Page was the FBI lawyer. They were having an affair while actively working to stop Donald Trump from becoming president. Their own text messages proved it. And when their corruption was exposed, what happened? Strzok was fired. Page resigned. And then, and this is the part that should make your blood boil, they turned around and sued the federal government. And under the Biden administration, Attorney General Merrick Garland and FBI Director Christopher Wray handed them $2 million of your tax money, your money, paid out to the very people who weaponized the FBI against a sitting president. Now listen to how Director Patel responds when Kennedy asks him point blank, "Did you find evidence the Biden FBI was politicized?" Patel doesn't hide behind bureaucratic language. He says, having been a target of that weaponization, having been a staffer on the House Intelligence Committee leading the Russiagate investigation, I know what that feels like. This is the FBI director telling America that he himself was targeted by the very agency he now runs. And his response isn't revenge. His response is reform. He says anyone who politicizes their job at the FBI will not work at the FBI. That's not a threat. That's a promise. And that's the kind of leadership the Bureau has needed for a very long time. Now we get to the heart of it. The Epstein files. Kennedy asks the question every single American has been asking for years. Who else did Jeffrey Epstein traffic those young women to? And Director Patel's answer is one of the most carefully worded, most important statements to come out of any Senate hearing this year. He says, based on the credible information they have, there is no credible evidence that Epstein trafficked those girls to anyone else. And he adds, if there were, he would bring the case yesterday. But here's what most people missed. Patel didn't say it didn't happen. He said the investigation from day one was sabotaged by Alexander Acosta in 2008, with a sweetheart non-prosecution deal that limited the search warrants, limited the timeline, limited the scope. Two administrations, Obama and Biden, sat on that file and did absolutely nothing with it. And that's what Kennedy pushes back on, and rightly so. He tells Patel, and I quote, "This issue is not going to go away. I think you're going to have to do more to satisfy the American people's understandable curiosity." And you know what? Kennedy is absolutely right. The American people deserve every single file, every single name, every single document that can legally be released. Patel committed, on the record, to release everything legally permitted, not some of it, not a curated slice. Everything the law allows. That's a commitment we're going to hold him to. Here's what I want you to take away from this exchange. For the first time in a very long time, we have an FBI director who was himself the victim of the weaponized justice system, who understands it from the inside and who is committed to dismantling it from the top down. You had 23,000 arrests, 6,000 weapons seized, 1,600 gangs and criminal organizations taken down, 4,700 children rescued, enough fentanyl seized to kill a third of the country. That's not politics. That's police work. That's what the FBI is supposed to be doing. And under Kash Patel, that's exactly what it's finally doing again. And let me say this plainly to my friends watching who are over 45, who've seen this country go through a lot. You remember what the FBI used to stand for. You remember when law enforcement was about catching criminals, not chasing political enemies. What Kash Patel is doing right now is returning the FBI to that mission. Not perfectly, not overnight, but piece by piece, case by case, firing by firing. And the numbers don't lie. The arrests don't lie. The rescued children don't lie. As for Epstein, folks, I'll be honest with you. I don't know that we're ever going to get the full story. Too many people had too many years to bury too much evidence. But what I do know is this: for the first time in nearly 2 decades, we have an administration that's willing to open the file, read it, and release what they can. That's more than Obama did. That's more than Biden did. And Senator Kennedy was right to push. Keep pushing, Senator. Every American family with daughters deserves to know the truth, and every American deserves an FBI that actually works for them. If you appreciate this kind of breakdown, no spin, no network talking points, just straight talk about what's actually happening in Washington, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single video. Drop a comment and tell me what you think. Did Kash Patel give Senator Kennedy the answers America deserves? Or is there more that needs to come out? Let me know down below. God bless you. God bless our law enforcement. And God bless the United States of America. I'll see you in the next one.